Welcome back to the Modern Mystic podcast, where we discuss spirituality, mysticism, and shifting the consciousness of the planet. I'm your host, Chris Stockwell, and today I wanted to share with you a bunch of the insane synchronicities and manifesting experiences that I've had in my life. So it might inspire you guys to think a little bigger and think, I could actually create things with my thoughts. I could actually call things into my reality, because why not? You should feel that way because it's true. It's the truth of this reality. Your thoughts are creating your current reality, and you can shift them and shift your energy and create a brand new reality. So let's get started with some incense. Today this is one of my favorites. It's Shantivana. It's the Yogananda brand. So you can see Yogananda right there. It's beautiful. My girlfriend was reminding me that when I lived in Tulum, when I met her, I would always have these. So I had a bunch of these, and my whole house would always smell like these. So every time I light them, it reminds me of being in Tulum. Okay. So a lot of things have been shifting lately in my life. A lot of energy that I feel has been stuck for years and years and years is finally coming up and finally cleansing. And it's not an easy process. It's super uncomfortable. This is what I want you to remember is it's not always, but it's always going to be a little uncomfortable while you're on the spiritual journey and while you are shifting your consciousness. Even at a place where I am, where I've been on this journey for 8 years, devoted on this journey, almost daily practices for 8 years, and I still have hardships. I still have tough moments come up. I still have tough emotions that emerge from the past. And there we go. That's nice. So even if you have had these spiritual highs where you feel like you are enlightened or something, and then you drop down to a depression or feeling not motivated at all, don't think you did something wrong necessarily. It just means you're going through a different phase. You have different energy emerging from your subconscious, and you're reacting to it differently, and it's creating a different result. And that's what life's about. Your energy's going to shift. Your life's going to shift. People are going to shift. Everything around you is constantly shifting and changing. So allow it to change, because it's like a phoenix. It's flapping its wings, it's flying around, it's beautiful. And then all of a sudden it's dying, it's burning, it's painful, it's turning into ashes. And then right out from the ashes is a beautiful phoenix. And that's what your spiritual journey is going to be like over and over again, right? Because the phoenix is going to die again and get reborn again. And you are that phoenix. You are going to get reborn over and over again, which means you're going to have to die over and over again. You're going to have to burn to ashes over and over again before you can be reborn from your innocence. And that's what the journey's about. So when you feel it burning a little, don't think you're doing something wrong. Don't think you're on the wrong path or you got the wrong idea. It's always good to learn more, but don't get down on yourself. Understand that it's normal, even if you're doing the best spiritual practice, to go through ups and downs emotionally, spiritually, with your connection to the higher power, with your connection to yourself, with your connection to others. It's normal to have this happen. So speaking of Tulum and my girlfriend, I thought that sharing the story of how I manifested my girlfriend and how we met, and she was manifesting me too, which is bizarre. It's really crazy. So we'll get into it. So what basically happened was I was going through a single era in my life, and I was enjoying that, but I knew I wanted to settle down, and I knew I wanted someone special to settle down with. I didn't want to just date anyone. I wanted someone serious that was a real marriage prospect and someone that I really could commit to. And so I wrote down a list. And for anyone that's trying to manifest a significant other, or if you're trying to manifest a career or whatever you're doing, you should have a list. You should have a list, not only to just manifest it, but also just to get incredibly clear on what it is that you want. Because when you have a list, then it's not just in your head, it's in two places. So there's almost like two magnets that are sending energy off into the universe, attracting it for you. So I made a list of all the characteristics that I wanted in my girlfriend and in my future partner. And so in this list was a bunch of normal stuff you would expect, like strong chemistry, deep love for each other, loyalty, trust, sexual attraction, like crazy energy together and connection and understanding of each other. All of this stuff that, basically, as long as you find a nice person to be with and a good person that you're really a good fit for, you're hopefully going to get those. But then I was like, why not? I'm going to start getting a little specific. So I wrote that down. I want someone with brown hair, with, olive skin, that is either, Mediterranean, like Italian or Middle Eastern, or is Hispanic. And what are some other things I wrote? So then I wrote that she knows how to garden, which is random. I don't even know why I wrote that. Like, not that that even matters to me, but I was just like, oh yeah, she can garden. Like, because I was just creating an image in my head of like, that would be, oh, she does this. And this is what I want you to do too. Don't feel limited by like, oh, I can only have this, and this. No, you can create anything. This is your reality. And there are people out there that match that description that would vibe with you, especially if you get in energetic alignment to them. So don't be shy, ask away, and really write your list based on whatever you want. So I put that, likes to garden. Let's see if I can think of any other crazy weird ones. So, you know, basically I had a bunch of other stuff that you would expect from someone who's trying to manifest a partner. And so, and then I remember I had this weird feeling that after I wrote that, that she was going to be in my life within the next 8 months. And I remember I was on a TikTok live and I remember I was telling people, I was like, I have this feeling it's going to be in like 8 months. And I actually totally forgot about it and let it go and just lived my life. I continued dating people. I continued living my life. At that time I came out to Hawaii for my first time as an adult and lived out there for a couple months. And I wasn't really thinking about that. I was like, yeah, I want to date someone, but I wasn't really even remembering the list I made or anything. So here's another tip for you is I was not uh like focused on it all the time and stressing about it and hoping that it's going to work out and try and making every girl I met like try to match that fit. I just let it go. I knew that one day I would meet a girl that fit my what I want in a partner and I would, be with her. And I just knew that would happen and I knew I didn't have to worry about that. So I just lived my life. I was dating people, focusing on my business, focusing on my own spiritual growth, all that kind of stuff. And then roughly, let's see if it is exactly 8 months because it was August 2020 because I still have the note in my phone that I wrote it and I haven't edited it and it still has the timestamp. It's like August 20th or 18th, 2020. And so what happened was I just totally forgot about that. And then let's see, August, September, October, November, December, January, February, March, April. So 7 months. But I started dating her 8 months later. Okay, so I started dating her 8 months later, but it was 7 months when I met her. So yeah, so I had this weird intuition. So that's another weird thing about it was I just had this intuition that it was going to be in roughly that time period. I don't know why. I still can't explain it, but I've had instances like this where I have moments of realization and I just know something is true and I can't give any logical reason why, but then it ends up proving to be true. And this doesn't happen all the time. I'm sure sometimes I just feel like things are true and they're not. But there are certain times where like a strong like message comes through. And at that time, I wasn't sure that was true. I just felt like it was true. And then it was true. So it wasn't like this crazy psychic moment where I knew for a fact that that was going to happen. I just had this weird feeling that was probably true. So yeah, that is pretty cool that it was in that time period. So when I did start dating my girlfriend, Amira, I found out that she's half Middle Eastern and half Hispanic. So she's half Lebanese and half Dominican. And that And I didn't even mean that specifically. I was like, either or. And I guess the universe is like, why not both? She could be both. And I was like, sure, sounds good. And yeah, so it blew me away. And I remember when I noticed that and I was like, wait, didn't I write this in a note? But I kept my nerves down. I was like, it's okay. Maybe it's not the person I'm supposed to be with. And I played it easy and played it cool and allowed it to develop naturally. I didn't instantly meet her and go, this is the person, you know? I was open to finding out that even though she fit a lot of those descriptions, she wasn't really the perfect person for me. And that's something that's really important for you to do as well, is be aware of the situation and don't get hypnotized into a story that someone's your soulmate. So you're tolerating terrible behavior. If she had treated me badly, or I had not trusted her, or I had not fully vibed with her, then I wouldn't have dated her. It doesn't matter that she fit the description of my list. What mattered was that she fit that description and I was able to develop a real genuine connection with her and trust her and be happy being with her. So remember that too, that it's not all about the magic and the manifesting. It's also about you logically knowing if a person's good for you or not. Because some people just are not good for you and you know it, and you lie to yourself and you hypnotize yourself into thinking, oh, they're my soulmate, so it's okay. But because of that, you're actually blocking yourself out from your actual soulmate, who would never treat you the way that your fake soulmate is treating you. So remember that your soulmate will treat you amazingly. And maybe, it doesn't mean they'll treat you perfectly, but it will be a healthy relationship. It'll be a healthy relationship. So if it's not healthy, then, either you guys have a lot of work to do together. And if you're committed to that, that's great. But if you're not committed to that and one of you is stagnating and not healing, then that person's probably not your soulmate, because your soulmate will want to heal with you as well. And maybe not at the same exact time frame as you, but they will want to be better for you, and they will try and they will put in effort. So if you're with someone that's toxic, it doesn't matter that you manifested them. Who cares? It's still toxic. You can manifest a person and have it be toxic too. You forgot to write that it's a healthy relationship, maybe. So let's talk about some other things that I've manifested. So one of the first instances of manifestation happened when I was like 18 or 19. At the time, I was trying to pursue the profession of being a rapper. And I made a lot of music, and I remember I even had a manager at the time, and I would do shows, but I didn't ever blow up or anything. I didn't get that many views on my songs, but I was trying. I was out there hustling. And I remember I was reading the book The Secret. This is like right around like my second year kind of thinking about spirituality. It's probably like 6 or 8 months after I really started believing in spirituality and started meditating and doing practices. So I remembered hearing about The Secret because it was so famous to even non-spiritual people. And so I started reading the book for the first time. And I started following some of the things they said. And one of the things I really wanted in my life at the time was a recording studio that I could go to for free, because the recording studios I knew about at the time and I would go to costed like $50 an hour. And I was really broke at the time, and I couldn't afford to drop $50 an hour to go to the studio. I wanted to kick it at the studio for like 6 hours, hanging out with friends, partying. I wanted that vibe. And so I decided to manifest it. I said, I want this. So I set it into motion and I did the things that they said. I probably thought about it. I visualized going to a studio and everything. And I kid you not, within a month, maybe 2 months. So within 1 to 2 months, my manager at the time reached out to me and said, hey, I found this awesome studio and the guy will let us record there for free. And I was like, what? This is exactly what I wrote down like a month ago or 2 months ago. And it came true. And I would go to this guy's studio, this really cool dude named Bobby Slauson. And we would hang at his studio and record. And he would help us out. And he was a rapper too. And I would make beats for him and stuff. And it was really fun. And it was an amazing time in my life that I would, hang out with my friends. We would like go to the club, and then we would go record at the studio. I would go to like 18 and up clubs. I was like a little hood rat when I was a kid. And so I would go to the studio and I could record there for free. And it was a high quality studio. And it was insane. It was an insane thing to experience that and to go, wow, if I could manifest this, what else can I manifest? And so that really ignited my faith in manifestation, I think, is when I experienced that. I was like, that's too specific. And I didn't even, it's not like I reached out to 10 studios. Like a studio found me. I just sat there and a studio found me. Well, my manager found a studio and I didn't even mention it to her, but she just came across it and found it. And it became a part of my life for like, I think a year. I would go to that studio, record, party, have fun. And it was a beautiful time in my life that I reminisce on a lot. And I'm so grateful that I was able to learn about the secret so young so I could manifest so young. So the next thing that and this is not necessarily in any order. Obviously, Amira, my girlfriend, that manifestation is really recent. It's in the last, we started dating about a year and a half ago. So that's within the last 2 years. But the other one, that was like 2015, 2014, the studio. And then let's go a little later, 2016, I manifested getting into UCLA. So in high school, I was like a 3.2, 3.3 type student. I would get A's and B's, and I wasn't excelling. I wasn't like, there were kids that got like 4.5s and shit. I remember there were people that were taking AP classes and getting way higher grades than me. So with my grade point average, there was no way that I could get into UCLA. There was no way I could get into any really good school that I wanted to. I could go to like the local state colleges if I want with my GPA from high school. But I decided I wanted to go to UCLA. So I figured out that I could go to community college for 2 years. And if I did the right stuff and I did it in the right way, then I could get accepted into UCLA as a junior. And then I could graduate from UCLA, have a UCLA degree, and only have to pay for 2 years of schooling at a university and only pay, the other 2 years at community college, which is 100 times cheaper. So I remember my first semester, I was struggling. I didn't get that good of grades. And I was really worried because my dream was to get into UCLA. I had to get into UCLA. So then the next couple semesters, I remember I was really manifesting getting A's. And I would manifest to go to UCLA and to get A's. And I even made a rap song, and it's still on SoundCloud somewhere. It's called Yin times Yang. And it's a song where in the song I said, in a year I'll be at UCLA. So when you're looking out the window, UCLA, I'll be balling like a new sports chalet, pull up to the club and get the new Porsche Valet. That's the lyrics. But that's funny. But yeah, I said it in a song way before I ever got accepted into UCLA. I even put out a song to people saying I'm going to be at UCLA in the next year. And I did it. I got accepted to UCLA. And there were a bunch of crazy things that happened along that journey. When I was in a certain class, I took a music class, and I expected the class to be pretty easy. I expected it to be an easy A, but the teacher ended up being one of the hardest teachers I've ever had. And she made us take really tough tests on musical theory and music and stuff. And everyone in the class got like C's and D's and B's. And I remember I should have gotten like a low B, I think, or a high C. And I remember I wrote an email to her explaining, hey, I've loved your class so far. The one thing is I really want to go to UCLA. And I took this class as a filler class to be fun. And I thought I would get an easy A in it. And I ended up not getting that. So if there's any way I could just have a little more points and get boosted up a little more, I would really appreciate that. And I sent that to her, and I expected to maybe go up like from a B minus to a B or something, and she would be nice in that way. But I checked my grade at the end, and she gave me an A minus. So she allowed me to keep the 4.0. So she gave me that A minus, which completely saved my life. and was probably part of the reason why my GPA was high enough to get into UCLA. And here's another cool learning lesson. It's not just about manifesting. Ask people for help, reach out, try to get things done, try to make things happen. It's not all about the energy and the thoughts. It's just mostly about the energy and the thoughts. It's also about the actions. But what I want you to realize too is I probably never would have reached out to her if I wasn't in that state of like, I'm going to UCLA. If I was like in the state of, I want to go to UCLA, but we'll see how it goes, I probably wouldn't have messaged her and made it happen. So the thoughts led to those actions. So that's why your thoughts create your reality too, is because your thoughts influence your actions and your actions create reality, but also your thoughts directly create opportunities and circumstances and put you in certain positions. So I manifested getting into UCLA. That was like my second major manifestation that I had. The third, let's see, we're not going in any specific order. Okay, so let's talk about astral projection now. So this was not a manifestation, but it was like a synchronicity moment that I experienced through astral projection. So this was probably a year into my spiritual journey, because I remember this was the moment that gave me somewhat logical evidence that spirituality is real and that my old beliefs of atheism were flawed and fake and incomplete. Because I was an atheist from like age 10, I'd say. I don't know when I decided I didn't believe in God, but from like early on, like around age 10 probably, or 11, until around age 17, when I started practicing spirituality. But even after I was practicing for about a year, I still kind of doubted it. I still had that part of my mind that's like, well, maybe this isn't real. Maybe I'm just imagining this. Maybe I'm kind of crazy. Maybe I'm whatever. And this was one of the moments that really shut that mind up. And what happened was I was in what I thought was a dream, but now I look back on it and I realize I was astral projecting. And I was walking down the stairs in my house, and I walked outside, and I was walking down the street, and I was outside on the street, and I realized that I wasn't in normal reality. Up until that point, I thought I was in normal reality, but then I realized I wasn't in normal reality, and I realized I could do whatever I wanted. So I jumped up and started flying. And I start flying up, and then I'm like probably 1 or 2 stories in the air. And then I start looking down, and it feels real, right? It feels like I'm in real life, but I'm flying. It doesn't feel like I'm watching a movie of someone flying. It feels like I am flying in real life. That's how realistic it felt. So when I looked down, I got scared and I start falling because I'm focused on not falling down. So this is where I learned this spiritual lesson, where whenever I'd focus on not falling down, I would fall down. And whenever I'd focus on flying, I would fly. So in your life right now, are you focused on not falling down, or are you focused on flying? Because logically, they're the same thing. Not falling is flying when you're in the air, right? But emotionally, energetically, and spiritually, and in regards to manifestation, it's not the same thing. They're complete opposites, because not falling is actually focused on falling, and flying is focused on flying. And what matters more is not if you say not falling or falling, it matters what you're focused on. So if you're focused on not falling, you're actually focused on falling, because you're focused on falling and negating it. But you have to focus on flying. You have to forget about falling. So that's how you succeed in life too. You forget about falling and you just focus on the up. Still be aware of what could potentially harm you and what could potentially halt your progress. But on a moment-to-moment, day-to-day basis, most of your energy should be spent focused on upwards movement, focused on flying, instead of focused on protection and stopping bad things from happening. Focus on flying, focus on excelling. So I learned that in that dream, because whenever I'd focus on flying, I'd go up. And then I finally got the hang of it, and I start rocketing into the atmosphere. I go up and I go through Earth's atmosphere, and now I'm in space. And now I go higher into space, higher into space, higher into space. And I look back at Earth, and on Earth, I see what I can best describe as a network of Microsoft XP icons. Do you remember on old Windows computers, they had the icons? They still have them on every computer, but the icons on the old ones looked a little more, 8-bit, and they looked smaller. The button that has the windows and it's flying off and you click it, and it has these tiny little icons. So when I looked at Earth, it looked like there was little icons all around Earth. And at the time I was flying, I knew I was not in normal reality, but I thought I was astral projecting at that point. At first, I thought it was a reality. Then I thought I was astral projecting. But then I saw that and I was like, you know what? There's no way that's how Earth looks. So that I'm probably just dreaming, and I'm just making this up. Because I was looking back and I saw this light blue line, and it was creating this grid structure. I'm going to put it up right here. So it created this grid structure that had these icons at the intersection points. And it looked like it was glowing with light blue energy. And I never heard of anything like this. I never seen a picture of anything like this. So I thought it was just my mind creating something weird. So I remember I went off into space, and then I think I kind of snapped back to my body and woke up. So I didn't think anything of it, but then a couple weeks later, I was researching certain spiritual topics, and I came across the idea of the Christ consciousness grid. So the Christ consciousness grid is what people say is an energetic structure that surrounds Earth that has charging points, you could say, that are some of the biggest structures on Earth, like the pyramids, or like certain natural places like energetic vortexes, like Hawaii, where I live, and Sedona, Arizona, or Tulum in the Yucatan, and it has a lot of energy. So, and the pyramids near the Yucatan as well, they have a certain energy, and they connect and they create this energy of an icon that's communicating with the other icons that surround Earth, and that creates the Christ consciousness grid. And as more and more people awaken, they add their energy to that grid, which makes it easier for more people to awaken, and it's a snowball. So the more people that awaken, the more people that awaken, and then the more people that awaken, and it just keeps expanding. So I realized that, and I saw pictures of people drawing it and making depictions of it, and it looked basically exactly like what I saw. What I saw was a little more detailed, and had each icon had its own individual characteristics. And in a lot of the pictures, the icons are kind of blank, just like circles. But the icons that I saw had more like ancient characteristics to them, and they looked like specific like rock carvings or something, but that were computerized and digitized. So this is one of the moments where I realized, wow, I saw something without leaving my body that exists, and other people have been there and they see it and they say it exists. So what that means is that since I didn't have any information about that either my mind massively coincidentally recreated something that other people also see when they look at the Earth while they are dreaming or astral projecting, or I just actually left my body and saw something that was outside of my body that other people can see when they're not in their body. And that's what I decided it was, because it seemed too coincidental to have such a weird, like, why would there be icons and like a grid around Earth? Why would that be? It was such a weird idea. And then to know that it actually exists in spiritual pop culture was mind-blowing to me at the time, because it was within a year of me being a stone cold atheist. So it was really mind-blowing to me. So the next thing that I manifested, which is one of my most sacred manifestations thus far, and one that I'm most humbled by and grateful for, is when I manifested my 300,000 TikTok followers and followers on YouTube and Instagram as well. as well as my full-time spiritual coaching business. So for those of you that don't know, I'm a full-time spiritual coach, and I help people shift their consciousness for a living. This is my job. I do it every single day. I'm working with people, whether it's just helping people for free and just messaging and making content, or with my paying clients, taking sessions, doing workshops, and things like that. So if you're ever interested in having a spiritual coach, and if you have some issues that you can't seem to work through, then feel free to reach out to me, and we could set up a strategy session to go over some things that you're experiencing and to see if a longer term program would be a good fit. So reach out to me on Instagram if you're interested in that. And because this is the most sacred thing I've manifested, is the fact that I get to spend every single day just helping people. And that's how I make money. I just have to think of new ways to help people, and I have to think about my clients. And that's the cool thing I love about having clients, is I get to sit and think about them, and I just think about their life, and I just think about what they need, and I think about what they need to shift in their life. And I get to do thinking for them, you know? I get to be a part of their life. I get to help them shift things. I get to help them change things eternally. And I love that. And I love immersing myself into a client's life and helping them as much as I possibly can. So it's such a beautiful exchange of energy, and it's something I naturally do without it being my job. And the fact that I can now do it, as you know, every single day, and not have to be drained by a full-time career that is doing something I don't love, it's so beautiful. And I manifested this by shifting my identity. I started identifying as somebody who earns a living by helping people spiritually. And that's who I feel like I am. That's who I am. So because I feel like that's who I am, I attract it. And then obviously I have skills that I've learned from other coaches. I've worked with several spiritual coaches for myself, which I teach a lot of their techniques to my clients. And I've also had a lot of business coaches that have helped me. So no matter what you're doing, whether you're starting a business or trying to get fit or whatever, I recommend getting a coach for it, finding an expert coach in a certain niche and hiring them. It's the best way to have all the secrets to an industry, and also to have accountability and structure to be able to accomplish it. It's a lot easier to do it than by figuring something out by trial and error. So I had been manifesting to become a spiritual coach since 2015 also, because it's 2016. In 2016, I went to a seminar, and there was an energy coach there, and he spoke. And this energy coach was talking about how he works with famous baseball players, famous actresses, singers, and how he makes $1,200 a session, and how, you know, he's changing these people's lives, and he's able to work on such a high level with famous people and the movers and shakers of our culture. And I was like, that is amazing. I want to do that. I want to coach these people. I want to coach high level people. I want to be the spiritual coach to, you know, the stars. That would be so awesome. And I know that might sound a little egoic or something, and I'm sure it was at the time. I'm sure it was. But really what it was deep down is I wanted to help people. I wanted to help people awaken. I wanted to help them find that light in themselves, because my light had been so dimmed throughout my life that I wanted to help other people learn how to ignite their flame like I learned how to do with mine. Because I know there's so many people still stuck in the old mental patterns that I used to have. I used to have intense overthinking, overanalyzing OCD. I was diagnosed with OCD. Nowadays, I have the occasional intrusive thought, and I'm able to stay in present, clear happiness throughout my day and not get overwhelmed by simple, mundane things. So it's amazing, because my mind doesn't go into hyperdrive overanalyzing. I can just relax, take a breath, and get things done, and do it with a smile on my face and feeling happy about it. So let's talk about some other examples. So I remember one time I was about to go on a vacation, and we had to get our test results back from whatever that thing was that we had to get tests for a couple years. And we were running low on the time. So I told the person I was going on the trip with to manifest this, that it's that the results are going to come in negative tomorrow. And we set that, we manifested it, and because it said it was going to take, I forgot to mention this, it said it was going to take 3 to 5 days. But instead, we got them within 48 hours, I believe. And we manifested that, and we made it happen. And I remember the person was like, wow, this manifesting stuff's real. It's crazy. And it was just another time that really anchored in that reality to me, that you can just create what you want. And it doesn't mean you have control over it. You can't always create it. But if it's in alignment with your energies and the energies of the universe, then you can proclaim it and you can make it happen. So another crazy manifestation synchronicity moment was when I was having my Kundalini awakening when in 2016, basically 2 weeks after I went to the seminar and decided I would be an energy coach. So that was another thing, is when I decided I wanted to be a spiritual coach or an energy coach, about 2 weeks later, I had an overwhelming Kundalini awakening that led me to the point where I was actually able to become a spiritual coach. Because of my awakening, I'm able to understand spirituality and people's energy body, their chakra system, their emotional blocks in a way that I never would have been able to if I didn't have this awakening. So it was like right when I proclaimed that I was going to be a spiritual coach, I had my overwhelming spiritual awakening, which was like hell. So if you're manifesting something and your life is going to shit right now, it might not be that bad. It might not be that bad. You might actually just be sculpting your life for the future. You might actually just be going through a period where you're fixing some stuff up, going through a remodel, tearing the walls out, tearing the appliances out before you get everything that you need, before you get, an overload of abundance of what you want and what you need. So don't be scared when you hit a rough patch after you set out on a goal, because that usually means that you have certain energy you need to release before you achieve the goal. So the universe is trying to show you that energy so that you can process it, so that you can get to your goal faster. But most people feel that energy and they get discouraged and then they stop trying. But when you feel that energy, it's actually a sign that you just need to do more emotional, energetic processing and then keep it up. It's good to have resistance. It's good to have discomfort. If you don't have discomfort in your life, you will become a pile of pudding. You'll become a little floppy. You'll be a floppy disk drive. You don't want to be a floppy disk drive. You want to be a hard disk drive. I don't even know what that means. But you want to be strong. You want to be sharp. And that requires you to face discomfort on a semi-regular basis. So the final thing that I manifested that I wanted to talk about is community, a tribe here on Oahu. So for a long time I was out here and I knew a lot of people on different parts of the island, but I didn't really feel like I had a tribe of people that I truly deeply connected with, and that had the same intentions in life as me and had the same goals of, holding spirituality to a really high esteem. And I've wanted to have a spiritual tribe of people for the longest time. And thanks to TikTok and thanks to spiritual coaching, I've had that tribe online for, about 2 years. But I haven't had that tribe in person except for a few instances. So I set the manifestation that I wanted to connect with the spiritual community on Oahu. And I set that intention, and within 2 months, I met a couple people that are connected in the communities in different ways and ended up networking. And now I know like 20 different people that are in the spiritual community on Oahu. And I'm, building closer connections with people and becoming friends with new people and meeting new people and deepening the friendships that I've just started. And it's amazing. And it feels so aligned and it feels so energizing to be around people that have this, same energy as me and the same intentions, and that we really get along. So it took a while though. It took a while of not having a tribe before I found my tribe. And it wasn't just about finding it. It was about becoming the person I wanted to be when I would be in that tribe of people. So remember that too, that if you haven't found your tribe yet, you might just not quite be ready for it. You might have some healing to do, before you get there. You might need to work through some betrayals with past friends. You might have to find any blockages of mistrust you have for friends or community or partners before you're able to manifest a tribe and close personal connections you truly resonate with. So be patient. Allow that healing process to exist. Allow it to take time. Doesn't need to go super fast. It could take years. Let it take years. Let it take months. Let it take days. Whatever it takes. You focus on you. You focus on your actions, your thoughts, your breath, and keep moving. And over time, you'll shift through the energy and you will attract that tribe. But you got to keep that intention. Don't let yourself think that there's no one out there for you. Just keep pushing, keep finding new people, keep finding new opportunities to meet people. I saw this one guy on TikTok that said something so amazing. I wish I had his @ so I could mention him. But what he said was, if you are looking for certain people that are going to be part of your tribe, guess what? They're looking for you too. So all you have to do is make it as easy as possible for them to find you, right? If you're looking for your tribe, let me ask you this question. How easy is it for them to find you? If someone out there has the exact, beliefs and energy and lifestyle that you would want to be friends with, how easy is it for them to find you? Is it easy or hard? Do you hang out in places where those people hang out? Do you go to, certain activities, group activities? Do you go to festivals? Do you meet people? Do you interact with communities where those people might be? Because if you don't, then obviously you don't have your tribe because you haven't been placing yourself in situations that make you easy to find by those people because they're looking for you too. Why wouldn't they, if they're your perfect fit to be friends, guess what? That means you're their perfect fit. That means you are their perfect fit to be friends too. So that means they're probably looking for you. So just let's say it's spirituality, just go to places where spiritual people meet. Go to different events at some crystal shop. Go to different group event meetings at some park or, a lot of metaphysical stores have coaching and have healers and have different people. You'll be able to find it. Meet up with find people in online groups and connect. You could find your tribe. Just make it easy for your tribe to find you. So I wanted to share that because I love how that was put. And I'm still in the midst of that manifestation. I'm in the process of developing that and developing these new relationships that I found and healing myself and finding any blockages I have of hoping people like me or, feeling like unworthy or anything and noticing if there's any residual of that and then clearing it. And that's all I can do on my end, but I feel these manifestations coming through to me. And the last manifestation I wanted to talk about was how I manifested this house that I live in. So my girlfriend and I live in Oahu in Hawaii. And for about 3 months, we were searching for a place together because we were moving in together. And we had 6 places that we liked, we applied to, we went through the whole process, and then we got rejected by in the end. And even a couple of them even said, yes, you're going to get it 100%, and then ended up bailing on us. And, there was a couple of those places that were really cool houses that I would have really loved to live in. And at the time, I was in Waikiki sharing a studio apartment with my girlfriend. So it was disastrous. And we were really feeling cooped up and we really wanted to move out. So we had the manifestation that we wanted a house that has a lot of nature. It has a beautiful yard. It has high ceilings. It has enough room where I can have my office and my girlfriend can have her space of privacy. And so we found a couple places that were pretty cool. And then finally, we were literally about to move off the island because we were getting rejected by all these places. But we finally found this place. and it was on a Facebook marketplace ad. It had like one picture of the living room from an iPhone that was all blurry. And my girlfriend was like, no, let's go look at it. And I didn't want to look at it, so I didn't even go. But she went here and she checked it out. And if you follow me on Instagram and you see some stories I post, the yard at this house is the most beautiful yard you've ever seen. It overlooks the whole southeast side of Honolulu and shows the whole area of Diamond Head, Manoa Valley, and it's beautiful. And it's a private property, and we live on this property with our landlord, and the only people we ever see on this property is our landlord and then the occasional gardener or construction worker. And we have this beautiful, it's probably 3 or 4 acre property that this house is on. It has hiking trails on it. And the craziest part is we are paying less rent here than any of the other places we applied to. This is the cheapest out of all the options. And it's literally, if I had to choose between any of those houses, I would choose this place because this place is better than all the other options. So not only did I find the perfect house, but it was also the cheapest house out of all of them. And what I realized, and this was a massive learning lesson for me, was that all those rejections were not rejections. They were redirections. There was a better, cheaper option that the universe was trying to point us towards. And we kept having miraculous rejections where it was like a sure thing. Like one guy was about to send us the lease, and then he said, oh, sorry, I'm actually going to let my friend use it for a year because he's moving out to Hawaii and I'm not going to rent it anymore. And we were like, what? And we were freaking out and it was terrible. And it actually was the best thing ever. So whenever things like that are happening, where you're getting these redirections in life, you're getting these rejections, then don't think of it as a rejection. Think of it as the universe pointing you to something new, or it's just testing to see how much you really want the thing that you're working for. Awesome. So those are some of the crazy experiences. I sat, and wrote down as many as I could off the top of my head that I felt were relevant. But I'm sure there's been a ton more experiences in my life that are insane regarding manifestation, synchronicity, etc. And if you haven't experienced stuff like this, you can. This stuff didn't start happening to me until I really devoted myself to the spiritual journey. So if you commit yourself to doing your best, to processing your emotions, balancing your energy, balancing your heart space, balancing your third eye, getting into a state of mental clarity where you're not being thrown around by the thoughts, but you have a strong mental will and intention. And if you can learn to surrender and trust the higher power that guides your life, then you will start having these happen. I promise you, it has to happen. This stuff happens when you get in alignment with the higher power, when you get in alignment with mental clarity, when you get in alignment with processing your emotions and balancing your energy. So focus on that. Every day, come back to center, focus on the breath, process your emotions, continue moving forward with love and a beautiful, kind of like a hot searing coal of intention. Thanks so much for watching. This has been the Modern Mystic Podcast, episode 2. Many more coming, and I'm so excited to continue this journey. So comment below anything that you want me to cover in the next couple episodes. Let me know. What do you want to see? I'm here for you. I'm here for the people. All right. Thanks so much, and I'll see you next time.